Okay, if you're watching this video, you are a tech company that is at or near 10 million ARR and you're looking to scale up to $100 million as fast as possible. So I want to show you how we can do that without killing any deals from your sales team, leaving you stuck with a Salesforce system that you have no idea how to use, or feeling like you had to wait on us forever to get something changed or fixed inside of Salesforce. So before I jump into it, I want to share a few people we've worked with. We've worked with dozens of tech companies at this point, but a few we want to highlight today are Overjet, Ingrain, Notable, and ClickLease. All have been great partners with us. Joined us right around that Series E mark, 75-ish employees, 10 million AR and looking to scale up from there. Also have some great reviews from all of their C-suite down here that you can pause and take a look at from Overjet, Ingrain, Notable, ClickLease. They're also over on our website too, gosiemplyscale.com. So plenty more over there if you want to go look through those as well. I want to show you this first just so that you then think, okay, actually I have some qualification here to talk about these things. And we do actually help people do this, okay? So first things first is going through that. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, I want to go through why you probably clicked on this video, which is like, how do you actually do this? Well, before we get into how we actually do it, it's important to understand this flow chart we're going to go through first. This is how your business should work with Salesforce now. At 10 million ARR, looking to scale up to 25, 50, 100 million, you need to have it working in a way to where it's not going to slow you down, and so that the people you hire to scale your business, sales, marketing, CS, finance, the list goes on, right? All your department heads, they need to actually do their jobs. They're not supposed to be working in Salesforce and messing around with stuff and wasting time all day, which is likely what's happening right now. So we're going to talk through this, how we automate it, why this is going to be beneficial to you. The main problems you're probably seeing, it's keeping you stuck at that 10 million and not being able to go up to the next milestone all the way up to 100, are these issues right here. Your sales team is stuck doing irrelevant tasks in Salesforce. You have leads and deals that slip through the cracks because you don't find them, you don't highlight them. Salesforce is so messy, you don't even know what's real in there. Customer teams can't find the information fast enough to service their IT tickets or their tickets in general. Reports take forever, and a lot of the times it's the wrong numbers. You can't even trust it. The old rules that you set up when you first bought Salesforce don't apply anymore because you're a lot larger. There's no auto alerts that are telling you when there's a big deal or a risky deal or something you need to pay more attention to. Your team probably fights over who has to do what in Salesforce and who's responsible for updating what kind of information. There's fixes or breaking things that you've already set up. So you create new automation and it breaks your old automation. And then lastly, you just feel like you can't trust Salesforce to help you grow. And in a lot of the cases, it's actually the reason you can't grow, which is unfortunate. You've set it up. You haven't partnered with somebody that you feel like can actually see this giant vision of how it's supposed to be built. And so it's really just hurting you instead of helping you. It's slowing down your progress. So up here again, this is how this is going to work. All right, so you get to this 10 million AR, awesome, huge milestone already. You've implemented Salesforce, probably likely before this. And now you have all this key business data that is going inside of Salesforce, okay? So you have CS team, you got your sales team, you got your marketing team, and all these other ones over here. So you got, thumbs up on this, right? You got finance, your HR, your leadership. So everybody is basically using Salesforce at this point to some degree, okay? And so quite literally, your business is like relying on Salesforce to be accurate. Because if you don't know the numbers, as you already know now, if you don't know the numbers, you can't actually scale the business because you don't know what the problem is. You don't know it's working well. You don't know who to fire. You don't know who to hire, right? You can't coach people. All of that because you don't know what the numbers are. You can't tell what your ad spend is. You can't tell how many leads you got. You can't tell how long it takes your customer service team to service a ticket. You don't know any of that stuff. So you get into this situation where it's like the blind is leading the blind, right? You don't know what to do next. And if you've tried, you probably have at this point, if you're at 10 million, you've either probably tried to hire somebody full time or you've worked with freelancers or some kind of consultant in the past. And the chances are probably also high that you hired an admin, you expected that admin to come in and know your business and run it like they're a consultant like myself or a consulting firm like myself. Instead, they come in and they're more of a task taker at that point. At that point, when you hire someone to come in and be a full-time admin for you to manage Salesforce and do the things you want, it's really, really rare. It's like a diamond in the rough that you're going to find somebody that for some random reason magically knows also how to run a business. They're going to be somebody that didn't need to get a degree to do this. They get certified, which is great, but it's a lower bar of entry to be able to get in. There's work to get in, obviously, but there's nothing that is a requirement that I need to know anything about a business. I don't need to know how a business even runs. And to be honest, when I first started my journey 10 years ago or so, I was in that same situation. I didn't know. Sometimes when I first got hired, it took me a long time to even figure out how the business even ran. I didn't even really know what we sold. I would just do stuff that the VPs would tell me to do. So the sales guy would come to me, hey, put this field in here or make me this report, and I would do it. So I was just a task taker. I didn't understand how the strategy of the business needed to be involved. And so if you've hired that freelancer off of Upwork or Fiverr or something on the internet that you found, or you hired a full-time admin that you paid 85, 100, 120K a year, again, chances are super low here that they don't know how the business needs to run. They don't have this vision of what you're supposed to do as a tech company, right? We specialize in this. This is specifically our niche. We only work with tech companies that are at 10 million and looking to scale. That's all we do. My background leading up to this is all I did before. My full-time jobs, worked over at a bunch of unicorn companies. Podium, Divvy, Health Equity was a public company, much larger. I was over at Vercel for a stint. So I've worked at all these companies leading up to this point, and then I started a business, and then I partnered with people that only had that tech background as well. So now all of us that only work here, this is all we know. We only know how to help you scale and exit. A lot of those people that I was lucky enough to work with as a full-time job before this also exited. They went public, right? We got acquired in some way. So I know what it takes to get there. I know what you got to be looking out for, what we got to be conscious of. And at this point, doing this over and over and over and over again, I now have a really great idea. My team has a really great idea on what your business needs to do to get to that point. We know the things that are going to drive that success. Okay. So again, thinking that you're going to just hire somebody that's just going to magically somehow know that is pretty crazy. Like they're just somebody that is getting paid to do their job, right? They're just doing the thing that you told them to do. They're probably not going to know those things. And if you find it, that's great. You should definitely hang on to them because it's super, super rare. I don't know if I've ever seen it when I was working full time. It takes a lot to understand how the business is supposed to run for that kind of money too. Okay. So you have all that, right? You've tried that. That didn't work. And now you're in this situation. That's probably why you're also watching this. You want to figure out how you can actually do it the right way. So we get down here, the next piece of the puzzle is really the automation. You're probably catching on to where I'm going with this, which is, yes, we're going to save you money by automating things. When you automate something, it saves money. That's a bonus. And that's going to be like over $1 million. I'm going to show you how we're going to save you over $1 million by automating some key things. Okay. But the other part that I'm going to focus on is actually more about how much time we're going to save your core team up here by not doing Salesforce stuff. We're actually going to make sure your Salesforce team is the only person working on it, which hopefully is us when you partner. But we also want to make sure your CS team, your sales team, your marketing team, all the internal teams are doing what you hired them to do. So CS is supposed to make sure people don't churn, that you get good reviews, that their clients taken care of, right? Your LTV or your lifetime value goes up. That's what you hire them to do. Okay. You didn't hire them to figure out how cases work in Salesforce or how an account is supposed to work or where to find stuff or how to mess with a page layout. That's not what their job is. You don't want them doing that. You want them focusing on things that are actually going to help you scale, earn more money, make the business more money. Okay. Sales team is the same. You hire them to get more people that don't know you in the door and paying you. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to be updating stuff and putting notes in Salesforce and trying to figure out how stuff needs to get integrated in there and getting harped at by their sales manager that something wasn't updated. That's not their job. Their job is to sell. That's what you hired them to do. And that's if they do it well, right? That's what's actually growing the business. So you want them selling as much as possible. The more we can take the sales team and make you feel like all I do is come into the business and I just sell for 8 hours a day and I do nothing else. That is the most idealistic thing that you can do for your sales team. Okay? You don't want them screwing around in Salesforce and doing stuff that doesn't even matter. Same with marketing, same with HR, same with finance. So everybody that is touching Salesforce right now, you don't even want them doing that. We want to get them out of that as much as possible and doing the bare minimum in Salesforce if they have to do anything at all. Okay. So automating as much as possible is the key here to actually getting you from 10 million to 100 million a year and beyond that, right? The more they can do their core function, the more likely it is that you scale the business because they're doing the things that they're supposed to do to get you there. Okay. So that's a huge piece of it. All right. The other piece is when we automate stuff, you're actually going to get better and cleaner data. So the second piece is you actually can start to trust Salesforce. So we've had a lot of companies we work with where they use like HubSpot and they use Salesforce and they use Excel and they use all these sources of truth. And it causes the problem to where it's like when we run a report, we run a dashboard, we don't even know if that's the actual number. We don't even know if that's our actual ARR, which is crazy. We don't know if that's our actual MRR. We don't know if that's actually a subscription that expired. We don't know if the contract is valid. There's all these crazy things that happen because you're using all these other systems to try to figure out where your data should go. And so you end up in this big mess, sometimes legal messes because you skip on contracts or whatever. But the more important part is you don't even have a North Star. Your North Star should be at this point growing that ARR. How do we get to 100 million? What do we got to do to increase that? Okay. And if you don't even know what that is, how are you supposed to fire people? How are you supposed to hire people? How are you supposed to coach better? How are you supposed to say we need to implement this solution in this department to do this thing better? Because you don't even know what those things are. You're just hoping and guessing and you go off all these gut feelings. So I can't tell you how many meetings we get into and it's people in the C-suite where they're talking a lot about their gut feelings. Well, it feels wrong. That number feels wrong to us. It looks wrong. It should never be a feels wrong. It should just be, it is wrong. If the number is wrong in Salesforce, it's wrong, right? If it doesn't match up with what somebody said over here and Salesforce tells us it's a 5, it's a 5. That's the way you should feel about it. So we want to also do that. We want to make sure that your data is clean so that you know and can trust the stuff you see in there. That's a huge piece of this to drive confidence, to make decisions quicker, move on things faster. You can capture a lot more of your market share the faster you can make decisions, as you know. All right, so we automate as much as possible. So we're going to look for those standardized processes. Hopefully you've started doing that. Chances are high you have. Some of those standardized processes like lead to quote stuff, tracking your subscriptions, right? Making sure that we know which ones are up to date, activities that are being logged inside of Salesforce, KPI dashboards for all your sales leaderships. Real thing here is real-time insights, right? We just want to drive that number, like I said, to where I can click refresh and then boom, here's the number. This is how many deals that we closed today. This is what our ARR is as of today. This is how long it took our CS team to solve this case as of today. You just want to get real-time insights. You just want to use it and be able to refresh and look at stuff and have that accurate to the second, okay? Once you have that, your leadership has this visibility. Now you can see why I'm talking about leadership from the jump, right? And this is why we position ourselves as this, because this is what we help you do on the Salesforce side. We're basically like the leadership for this part of the department. We help you build this. If you think of like a blueprint and a house and an architect, okay? That's what we are for Salesforce. We're the one coming in and giving you a blueprint and saying, okay, based on your business and what you guys do, we need to draw it out like this. These are the things we got to do so it doesn't slow you down and you actually have a nice foundation, a nice house for all of your data to live in, okay? So that's what we're doing. And your leadership is doing that for all their departments, sales and marketing and finance. They're doing all that for you too. And so the more we can get these metrics in here for you, the better and more likely it is that they can drive the strategy that they know is going to work to make sure that you guys scale to where you want to go. So same thing here as to why that clean data is so important. They need to understand what it truly is so that they can push on the things that they know are broken or they need to fix. Okay, so you get your metrics, which is awesome, ARR, CAC, net retention, all that kind of stuff. Deals, so your pipeline, your win rates, your close rates. You get your quotes over here, conversion rates, your volumes, proposals even, so productivity, quota attainment, how likely that is. And then basically we're just going in a circle here. So we then ask ourselves after we've done these activities, it is a refresh. We do some things, we make those changes, we check in. Okay, we're going to check in and we're going to see now that we've refined these things, now that we've automated some of these things, is this going to help us hit our goal? And if the answer is yes, we just keep doing what we're doing and we keep making those changes. Okay, we stay on track. If the answer is no, then we go back and we refine the data, not the date. we refine the data and we automate even more. So we just go back all the way up to the top, look at your key business data, see what's going on with it, and figure out how to make that even better. And we go through the cycle again. Okay. So that's actually how we're going to scale it. Okay. Now I have an awesome couple of things here that I've put together for us in Google that you can actually see a sheet. This is really cool because this is going to show you two things that matter: how much money you waste, which is a big deal, and more importantly, that percentage of time being wasted by whoever is doing the thing in Salesforce they're not supposed to do. Okay, so we think of an example, a really easy one that almost every single time when I help you guys all out is there's something in Salesforce called a web to lead. If you're not using that, please start using that. A lot of the time that's not in place yet. And so we start up with a business. It's one of the first things we always knock out. You go in there, you guys get leads every day, and you have them go into some kind of inbox, or you have them going somewhere. You've automated something and it's pushing it somewhere, but it's usually not likely set up into Salesforce yet. You haven't integrated it to Salesforce. So a lot of the times it just goes to an email inbox, and then somebody like the sales rep or marketing rep or EA, or even sometimes like the CMO we've seen do it, or a VP of sales. They go into this inbox, they take the lead, and they literally copy paste all of that data, which is crazy, and put it into Salesforce for you as a lead. So it just takes a ton of time, and it's a waste of their time because it's like, that is like the most low level task anybody can do, right? It doesn't drive you really any value. It's a necessary thing that has to happen, but it's not something you really want to have anybody actually doing. You just want that automated, which you can't automate it. So if you think of that process, right? We had one where we worked with a tech company. They had their VP of marketing doing this, okay? She was going every single day through this along with her marketing team. So it was like her checking the numbers, make sure it was legit, plus also her marketing team too, doing this throughout the day, catching the leads. So it's like you got all these problems, right? One part of the problem is it's a waste of time. The other problem is you're not calling your leads quick enough to actually win them. So it's just this huge mess. But you'd have somebody that's, let's say, getting paid $250K or a C-suite. All right. So you put in the salary over here. You see how many weeks they work in a year, which is 50. That gives them the 2 weeks off. And then 40 hours a week. They're probably working more, but a full-time person, 40 hours a week. Okay. That means they're getting paid $125 an hour. So it does this math for us. That's important because now over here we can then say, well, how long does this take you every day? And in their case, it was like 2-3 hours a day. Let's say 2. All right, 2 hours a day, 125 hours, and there's one person doing this. That means that was taking up 25% of this person's time per day, just doing this one dumb activity, and it was $250 a day. That means in total for the year, you were spending $65,000. The number up here is 260 working days in a year, okay? So $65,000 is being wasted on doing this dumb thing every day. Plus, though, the thing that we've already been driving at is that's 25% of this VP of marketing's time that's going to doing something that provides zero value for the company. It's not actually, you didn't hire a VP of marketing to come in and do something to where they're just entering data, right? Like they're supposed to be helping you drive value and strategy and figure out how you can run the business better, not putting in data. So that's what's crazy is you have 25% of your time. So you can mess around with this, right? And we can sales rep 125,000, $63 an hour. You probably got something around, 15, 20 people. We'll say 10 and be conservative. All right. If they do something that takes them even, half hour a day, times that by 10 people, you got 6% of their day, not a huge deal, but you also got $313 that's being wasted every day. That comes out to $81,000 a year across that entire team, which is nuts. So here is a box in the middle to give you somewhat of a baseline. This is also going to differ, right? Kind of depends on what you do. But really horrible is only 25% of Salesforce automated. So in other words, 75% of your time is manual and is being wasted. Good, better, best is down here, 60% automated, 80% automated. When you get into this 90, it's getting kind of crazy. Just because in general, as you know, when you try to automate anything, like people are going to waste time, so nobody's going to work. When you get up to 10%, 5%, like that's insane. A lot of places, depending on what you do, a lot of places may not even be possible. So if you're up here, amazing, amazing work, right? A lot of the time where we start working with someone at 10 million, they're between these two, good and horrible, right? Maybe it's not clear as 75% of the time, but it's like half a lot of the time, right? So they got half of their time that's being wasted, and there's a lot of things to improve. So this is a cool little tool that I've built out to help you mess around with that you can see here of how this actually is impacting you. The other crazy thing too to think about is if you had $81,000 extra, what else could you do with that, right? That could be spent for a full hire. That could be spent for more ad spend. That could be spent for bonus incentives. Like there's so many things you could do with 81,000. And right now you're literally just chucking it away. So it's a dumb use of 81,000, right? It's just literally burning it. So this is also what's crazy about this. All right. So going back to where we were at, that's a cool thing to see the compounding effect of the wasted time that you're going to see in Salesforce and actually the cost that gets associated with it. Okay. All right. The way I want to kind of proceed here is it's one thing to talk about how I would do this for you. It's another thing to actually go through the processes so that you also know we are knowledgeable on what we should be looking for, what you guys are likely doing as activities, and how we would also automate those. So I want to go through some of those departments as well. And hang on here if you're still watching, because what I'm going to do next is go back into this calculator. We're actually going to show you the full compounding effect. All of these systems that I'm about to talk about, if we were to automate all of these things, how much money you're actually wasting at $10 million a year, and how we can actually get that time back, get all that time that's been wasted from your department heads back into what they do and save you over $1 million. So I'm going to show you that. So stick around. It's going to be awesome once we get kind of moving on that stuff. First, I got to tell you about what these are so you understand it first. Okay. So customer service, basically what you have over here, and these are going to kind of differ depending on what you do, but universally, here's some things that most customer service people are going to be taking care of for you. Okay. Customer service managers. You probably also have these structured different depending on who needs to be in charge of what, how important things are for you. So CSMs, right? You got your managing support tickets. So just like your base level, somebody complains, somebody needs help, you got to have them managing tickets. Okay. Upsell and renewal alerts. You want to also have some type of like 360 view of their customer data so that they can just find stuff quickly and know who is who and where they're currently at in their journey and how they need to take care of them. I also want to have them be able to identify when churn's coming up, when they're at risk, if they're in good standing with us. We want to know all those things. The onboarding process needs to go super smooth so that they have a great first impression of you guys. And then also getting customer reviews, right? Like you want to make sure that they're getting feedback on G2, on your Google business reviews, on, wherever you want those posted. They need to be also trying to drive that for you too. All right. So things that determine success here, speed is like the biggest thing you're going to see as a pattern. You already know that as when you were small, if you were faster than your competition, it made it a lot easier for you to actually win the deals and keep people with you. So when it comes to your tickets, it's a huge deal to make sure you're solving those as fast as you can. So as of right now, you probably don't have this stuff automated. So all of these, I'm not going to say that a million times, all of these can be automated, okay? So just assume when I'm talking about one of these that we're going to talk about how we can automate them in Salesforce. So with your managing support tickets, what we can do to automate that, there's something really similar to that web delete we talked about that we can set up. It's called email the case. You can actually set up some type of email distribution list. And when somebody has a question, they can email that thing, and then it sends it automatically into Salesforce as a case for you. You don't have to log one. You don't have to set one up. And then more importantly, you can actually make it even better from there. So we would then actually take it to the next step. There's a few ways to do this, but keep it simple. You would also add on to there what kind of queue that you want this to go to. So if they put certain things in your form, if you tell them, it's whatever, it's like a technical issue. Okay, we know that it needs to go to the technical queue. And then in the technical queue inside of Salesforce, we got these three people, Adam, Susie, and Johnny. Okay, these are the three people that are going to take care of that for us. They're the technical squad. Okay. And this thumbs thing, man, needs to go away. So they're the technical squad. So it'll go directly to them, and then they just either get it auto assigned to them, or they can work out of the queue and just pick the ones that they know that they're supposed to work. As you scale to that 100 million mark, you probably want to auto assign too, so that people aren't cherry picking, which I worked in customer service at one point, really on days like first job ever. And I do that all the time. I know that firsthand. And we actually, it was kind of cool. This is when I worked at Walmart e-commerce, actually. I was a customer service person over there. I would cherry pick all the time. They used Salesforce. They implemented this solution I'm about to talk about. It's called it's called, I don't want to quote it wrong. It's called Omnichannel. And basically what it does though is it auto assigns it to the right person. So you set people up and we'll just kind of send it to the person that is skilled in that thing so that they just get the ticket and you avoid that cherry picking. So as you scale, we could do something like that too, which is cool. The point is it's super quick. It gets it to the person it needs to go to right away. They can solve it a lot faster. They make your customer happier because it's solved quicker. Okay. The second one over here, your upsells and renewals. The thing we want to automate the most is figuring out a way for them to know those things ahead of time. As you know, also is that the more you can keep somebody with you, the longer, or the higher, I should say, your lifetime value goes up, or your LTV. It's going to also make it to where your cost per person goes completely down, right? So you spend all this time, you spend all this money trying to acquire a customer, and that takes ad spend, that takes people's time and effort to do that. And if they're only staying with you a month, well, your cost is super high to do that, right? So the longer you can keep someone with you, the better it is for your company. And that's kind of the point, right? Like you don't want to just keep staying in this realm where you're constantly finding. You want to find people that are loyal to you and build that loyalty within the brand. So what we want to do here is automate the system to call out when it's time for an upsell of some sort to your product and or a renewal. Can't tell you how many SaaS companies we work with where they slip on a renewal and somebody churns, and then you're sitting there not getting paid by them, trying to win them back so that they can start paying you again, which is crazy. So making sure they call those two things out so that everybody's aware that you're staying with that lifetime value, keeping that high. Okay. 360 view, owning the accounts assigned to the CSM. Basically, you just want to make sure that their page layouts, anything that can be auto-populated on the cases that come through or accounts that come through are done so that they're not looking around trying to find information and doing a bunch of clicks. Again, clicks mean time, time means wasted, and that adds up as you just saw. So we just want to reduce the amount of clicks and just put everything in front of them. Churn risk identification is pretty similar to the upsell one. Basically just want to be able to negotiate and reduce that churn from happening as much as possible. Again, going back to your lifetime value, keeping that high. Onboarding, first impressions are really made and you set the tone with somebody depending on how you choose to onboard them. So this one is a huge deal because it's literally the first time they start interacting with you. They talk to your sales rep. They probably understand that they got pitched on stuff. And then for me, at least as a customer and a lot of the customers we work with on the tech side of things, it's like kind of the proof in the pudding, right? Like you sold me, I bought, I'm going to do this. Now are you actually going to deliver, or do you go into this mode where you just don't care about me? And so really that first impression is a big deal to make sure that we automate, the process behind that. So again, we'd look at the process you guys are going through. What is it that you do with your clients every single time? Do you send them a form they got to do? Do you have to give them access to something? Is there something they have to fill out? Is there some type of NDA to get started? Like there's so many things that could be involved there depending on your business. The point is you send something out every single time to the client as soon as you start up with them. And we can make sure that that repeatable process is automated via Salesforce for you. And the last one over here is you get clients and reviews, you get clients to get reviews, you get reviews to get money. So customer reviews over here is a big deal because especially when you first started, you're going to remember this, that really you kind of worked really hard to get that client in to get a review from them. Once you got the review, then you can actually make more money because people then start to trust you and build. And as you saw above, same reason I started mine off with the same thing, right? Is like you're getting those reviews to become credible with people. You really want to make sure that this process as well is also automated. You don't want people, basically what I mean here is you don't want people making decisions based on gut feelings. Like, oh, I just remembered that I was supposed to ask them. It's, 3 weeks in. Okay, I should ask them for a review. Whereas somebody else on the team might think they need to wait for 3 months before they ask them a review. So you need to have some type of system put into place to say, as soon as they do this item and as soon as they've checked these boxes, great, we send out this automatic reminder to give us a review, and then you follow up with them and you give them a call to do these things. So we can set all that stuff up in Salesforce so that it's just automatic alerts. And so when they start their day, they would know, oh, hey, I got to follow up with this person, ask them for a review here, do these things to make sure this goes smooth. Cool. All right. Getting through it. So sales team is next. This one is a big one for you guys because these are the guys that actually get you revenue into the door. So sales team is a fun one to kind of cover with you because you're going to see a lot of your bang for your buck from these guys. And if we automate stuff and make this better, we'll get more deals closed. So this is usually, to be honest, where we focus a lot of our time, sales and marketing. We still work with the other ones, of course, but we usually like to start here because you just see so much instant impact when we do it. All right, so down here, you're going to have some things, right, that they do. Lead routing and assignments, lead scoring and priority, pipeline updates and data entry, deal follow-ups and forecasting for their quota. You got quote and proposals they're sending out, and then cross-team handoff. So like I mentioned, one of them with CS, right, is after they sell the deal, they got to then make sure it goes to the right person, an account manager of some sort, that they get taken care of. All right, so these are all things that also are happening manually if you haven't automated them. They're doing these whether you think they are or not. Good example is this lead scoring one. If you don't have that automated, they're thinking through ways to be able to score that lead. They're going to then go to LinkedIn and say, okay, it's this type of company, it's this type of industry, they make this type of money, I have this decision maker's number. Okay, this is probably an 8 out of 10 for me, right? It's a really good lead. Or it's the opposite. It's a 1 because I don't have this type of information. So they are already going through that process in their head. What we want to do is put that into Salesforce so when they look at the lead, it's automatically already set up to show you that lead and the score that involved with it. Again, taking that manual process out of it, okay? It'll also help you prioritize for them to actually care about the deals that come in. You've probably already figured out a pretty good process to qualify your leads, but as you know, you're also still going to get some spam in there and things that don't work out, and you're going to be testing things with marketing. And so you'll always kind of have this little bucket of people that don't always meet the mark. And when that comes through, it's good to know that from the score right off the bat versus you call them up, you chase them down for a couple of weeks, or multiple people are chasing them down for a couple of weeks, and it's just a bunch of wasted time on the sales team side, right? This prioritizes it so we know which ones to work first. Lead routing and assignments, same thing as the customer service side, okay? You want to basically make sure that these guys have the leads that are going to them and they're being assigned out per territory or per skill set, right? So if it's something specific or a specific segment that you're in for your sales team, you need to send it to the right people. We can do this through lead assignment rules and auto routing the same way that we did on the CS side, where we'd send it to the correct people based on that criteria. So we'd work with you to figure out what that criteria is and do that. Calling when the buyer is most interested, that also helps, right? Like we're going to call them when they're actually interested, call them when they're actually hot. The longer you delay that, the less likely it is that they actually want to talk about the thing that they did. So you want to get on the phone almost immediately when the lead comes in if possible. Okay. Working the hottest leads most, we talked about that. Knowing the next steps at all times. So pipeline updates. This is your typical, sales manager telling you to update the notes or updating your stages on the deals, all the stuff that, again, has to happen. But it's the same idea. It's if we know that when you check this box or when you do this thing or you fill out notes here or, they did this thing over here, we know that when that happens, we need to update the stage to say it's progressing, or we need to update the stage to say it's a closing deal. Okay, well, if we know that, which we do because you change it every single time, we can actually just do that for you, right? So we can actually just change stuff in Salesforce, these fields for you that are really annoying to update and make sure they're updated to do it automatically. We can also make sure things that always have to be populated can get required fields or are always populated by automation if we already have the data. So it just makes it a lot less pressure on your sales team to then make sure that they filled out all these dumb fields that have to be done, and they're more on the phones. Sales team will know how they're trending towards their quota with the forecasting and deal follow-ups, right? So want to be able to give them that clean data we talked about earlier, automating things so things come through correctly so that they know where they're progressing and they hit their goals. Huge mess, obviously. If they're pulling their own report, which you see a lot, and it doesn't match up with the manager, or it doesn't match up with your ARR, and now they were progressing towards something, they thought they hit quota, they didn't, or whatever, right? You think they're much lower and they're actually above. It causes a huge deal. And working personally with the sales team a lot for the years in this, it's not always the easiest kind of conversations when you're messing with their commissions and things like that. So you want to iron this out as much as we can. Quotes and proposals. This is really just finalizing the deal. So the last place you want to get snagged up on something and have it take forever is when you want to send it out. Again, you want to get that out basically ASAP. So making as less friction as possible during this process is key. You want to make sure that all the products are active, that all the products have the information on there, that it's as low amount of clicks as possible to actually send that deal out. There's a lot of automation we can do on the back end to where if we add this product, we add the customer's data, cool. The rest takes care of itself. It sends it to the right person. It emails it. It does the follow-ups. It sends the DocuSigns. All that kind of stuff can be automated by a click of a button. So we can make this one really, really frictionless. Cross-team handoffs, we talked about that, so I won't jump into that again, but basically just the smooth transition. Marketing team is going to be next. What we want to focus on here are lead capture and nurturing campaigns, lead qualification and sales handoff, campaign performance tracking and reporting, segmentation and personalized marketing, event and webinar follow-ups, and budget and ad spend tracking. So all typical marketing activities that happen with every company we work with, basically. And some things down here, right? You're going to want to know the email sequences, form fills, web to lead automation we talked about, so that we're actually knowing if this is a marketing qualified lead, is it a sales qualified lead, what's the lead source, what kind of campaign did it come from. All of this pretty much on here can be summed up with this right here, needing to know which lever to pull. The more I've worked on these kind of projects with people, the more I've understood that, it's the same idea with the data. If you actually just capture all this stuff correctly, then you have it all right in front of your face, and it's just like a math equation. It's just like, okay, if we spend $100 every single day on meta ads, it usually gets us this much business to the door. If we spend $100 on LinkedIn ads, it does way less, and it only gives us this much. Okay, so now it's a simple question to just be like, which one should we put more money into? Obviously the meta ads, because they're giving us more money on the back end. So it just then becomes so much more clear for the marketing team to know where to push stuff, know where to fix stuff, know which ones to focus on when it comes to the channels. If you don't have that data being captured inside of Salesforce, it's pretty much impossible, right? Like, we've worked with a lot of people that do this that have no idea which one is working for them because they don't capture any of this information. And so it's just like a wild guess when something comes in to be like, yeah, okay, I think it was from that campaign. I think it was from that webinar. I think this one was in person, or I think this was from a referral that so-and-so gave us. They don't know. And it's just kind of a wild goose chase to try to figure this whole thing out. So you need to track all of that. And that's what a lot of this stuff is going to be, segmenting it out, personalized marketing, all that kind of stuff, so that you can get this data on the back end in Salesforce, so that you can then just pull the right lever to say, okay, cool, this one works for us. Dump the money into this campaign. It's killing it, right? Or we're spending a ton on this one and it's not doing anything. So stop spending money on that one. Put it into this one. This one's working way better. You want to know all that kind of stuff so that you can then set it up, okay? All right, so that's a big deal. You want to know your follow-ups. And I think the other one up here I just want to mention before I move on is email sequences. So this is also where we would want to set up some automation big time for you. Is, okay, a lead comes in. Yes, sales is going to follow up with them. We know that. We also want to nurture them, right? So we also want to be sending some nurturing leads, and we want that automated. We don't want that on a hunch that, oh yeah, this guy came in and, I forgot to start that up. I got to start sending him emails. That's insane if you're just sending those out manually. I don't think I see that too often, but if you are, that's crazy, because you can automate this to just send them out automatically. So you would just say, when a new lead comes in, we start this thing up. You wait 1 day. Okay, then after 1 day, send the first email. Then you wait 2 days, and then you send the second email. Then you wait 1 day, and you send the third email. And then you go through your whole drip campaign. Once you've sent 10 emails out, cool, maybe we wait on it if they've never tried to contact us, and we give it a week or two. And then we kick this thing back off and we do this, right? So there's all these like back end processes that, again, that you know about, that you want your business to do. And all of that can be automated to email the right people, to update the right people when it's time to reach back out, to log notes to say if they've reached out to you, to see if they've opened your emails. Like, it's going to capture all those analytics for you on the back end. So crazy if we're doing that manually. That'd be really, really hard, in my opinion, to try to keep up with. All right, and then lastly, we got internal teams. And then this is where I'm going to step into actually showing you the calculator here of how all of this works, okay? So I want to show you the $1 million that we promised we could save you, and how this all adds up once you know all these processes. This one's kind of like the last one here. So I'll make this one kind of quick too. But you have KPI tracking, invoicing, contract compliance, internal onboarding that you're going to be doing, headcount planning, budget allocation for all your department heads. We talked about this at the beginning, but if you don't have these numbers, it's the blind leading the blind. You don't know how to actually run your business if you don't know the numbers. You need to know the numbers. It is very business 101 that you would know a lot of the basic things. You got to know your CAC, you got to know your LTV, you got to know your ARR, you got to know your MRR, you got to know those kind of things to be able to move things forward in the business. Okay. So knowing what's earned and owed down to the cent is really an important piece with our invoicing so that you can track those KPIs appropriately. Ensuring that you're compliant, depending on what you do. We've worked with some health tech companies, right? This can be kind of sketchy if you're not HIPAA compliant, for example, on the things you're sending out or the data that's in Salesforce. If you're a fintech company, you probably got sensitive information inside of there people can't see, and if you get audited you could get in a lot of legal trouble. So there's things like that we want to make sure we're also automating and making sure it's set up properly so that you don't get in trouble that way and lose money through fines. We also want to have a knowledge base for employees to go to. We can set one up for you, and that way all of these questions that they ask all day to HR people, they could actually just look it up themselves in an FAQ. Understanding when you can hire and fire internally, you know where the fat is, you know when you're lean because you have all the numbers in front of you. You need to know where the business is going and the money that's involved in it. Again, no gut feelings here. We just want to see a number and be able to trust it and move from there. All right, without further ado, before we go to our deliverables here, if you made it this far, it's well deserved that you actually see this at this point. Here's going to be our financial cost. Okay, so we have another table here that we've put together. This is literally everything I just talked through. So you might be thinking, hey, that was cool. It's cool to get some ideas. How much time does that actually take? Like, what do you actually do? How many people are involved in those processes? All right, this is a rough idea, okay? This is based on 75 employees, and we did this at the rate to say that you guys are 75% doing manual work, since usually when we start with you, you're around this mark, okay? Maybe a little bit better, but you're around this mark. So if you're 75% doing manual labor, manual tasks, you don't have really anything automated, 25% of stuff is automated. That means this is going to tally up to what you're roughly spending, especially if you're at 75 employees right now, which you probably are pretty close to that. So let's look at one example here so you can understand this graph and see how it's working, okay? So over here on line 2, sales lead routing and assignment that we talked about. If they're spending 1 hour a day trying to figure out which lead is the correct lead, who it's supposed to go to, if it had the correct data, if their phone number is legit, if they are tracking down the same lead that somebody else is tracking down, right? If that's taking them an hour a day to do something like that, which is not out of the realm of seeing this, sometimes it's a lot higher than that, to be honest, and you have 4 of your sales reps doing this every single day, you're paying them 125 grand a year. That means you're paying them $60 an hour. So you can see where this is going. 60 times 1 times 4. That means that's 13% of one person's day that they're spending doing this. And a grand total for the 4 people doing this for an hour a day, $240.38 per day on this one thing. This is what they're spending on one thing per day. So looking at all of these sales things we talked about, at a 75% manual labor, you're spending over $1,000 a day, close to $1,500 a day in wasted time for them to do stuff you don't even want them doing in the first place. A lot of times, you're not even calculating how much time this is taking to fix stuff that they break. There's people like me that come in to help fix it, and then I find out they have too much access and they're breaking things. They're putting stuff in that's wrong. They're causing problems for HR and finance because they put in the wrong data. They changed somebody's financial information. They changed a close one deal when they weren't supposed to, and it messed up finance because now they got to go back and whatever. It triggered all these alerts, right? So there's also this stuff that's happening by them doing this. It's causing more problems on top of this, okay? It doesn't even include that. This is just literally, it took me this much time to do it, and this is what you pay me. There's $1,500 that you spent doing this. All these processes. And if you do all these processes, that comes out to 75% of their time wasted on Salesforce activities, okay? So we kept this very conservative to show you that this is realistic. A lot of these go higher, like I said. So keeping this realistic, that's what you're at. All right, so same thing for all of these, same thing for all marketing, same thing for all of the internal, okay? At the end of this, you're spending around $4,000, $4,500 a day in wasted time. That comes out to over a year, over $1 million that you guys are literally just wasting. There's no other way to say it. It's just waste that's being in your business by not doing the automation in Salesforce. Okay, so insane. That is roughly 24 hours out of the day amongst all these people, the 75 employees. And so you could see this comes out to a salary of roughly 3 million, almost 4 million. I looked it up to make sure this was legit. Tech companies, 33% on average that you would see employee costs be. So this is very fair estimate that I put together. This isn't high. Manipulate the numbers. In a lot of cases, especially depending on what you do and where you work, this could be even higher depending on what they pay you. So these are all legit. I looked up all these numbers too as of now to see the averages across the US. These are all fine. So this is not manipulated data to show you $1 million being wasted at 75% of their time though too. 75% of the time that could go back to them doing their actual job to make your business better. Absolutely insane. You could change this around too with this. And if we change one of these things, it'll change the numbers as well. So if we change this to 100,000, we drag this down, you can see that it changes to 48, 13%, right? So it'll change it depending on what we move this to. So super cool to see the things that we just talked about, how that actually is going to save you money right off the bat, but more importantly, drive back the sales, drive back the marketing, drive back everything to your business, which is a huge, huge deal. Okay, you made it this far, and if you made it this far, you're probably pretty freaking interested in doing something with this, all right? So I don't feel bad at all going through a pitch here at the end to tell you how we would work with you, because again, we're 48 minutes into this. All right, so deliverables. What would we actually do? What do you actually get with us partnering up? Clearly, there's a ton of ideas I just gave you of how we would go about doing this and how we'd solve it and save you money and save you time and put it back in your business and help you grow and how we've helped other people grow. But what you actually experience on the day-to-day basis, this is what you're going to see. One-on-one weekly syncs with a dedicated team, 30 minutes every single week without fail. If you need more than that, we'll take on more. This is just a bare minimum. So base, you're going to at least get one sync up every single week. And you can put whoever you want in that meeting. So that's our dedicated team that is handpicked for you. And then whatever stakeholders you want in there. So sometimes it's just one guy. Other times people like 3, 4, 5 people in there that we can talk to them about it. Okay, so we have this. We're also open for one-off meetings if you need more than that. You have one-on-one messaging with that dedicated team, unlimited, and the kicker here, 1 hour response time. So what's insane is typically in our industry, 24-hour response time for this kind of stuff, okay? This is literally a 1 hour response time that we will go through with you. So that means if you send us a Slack message, we will get back to you within 1 hour. Doesn't mean we'll solve it in 1 hour, but we'll get back to you in 1 hour, let you know we're on it or we're fixing it or what the updates are, okay? So that is unlimited. You have full access to that, kind of jumping ahead, but you have a private Slack channel for your team and my team. We're going to be the only ones in there. So it's unlimited. You can hit them up any time of the day. We'll get back to you. One-on-one messaging with me, so unlimited and 1 hour response time as well. I'll be in that channel with you. It's usually going to be your dedicated project manager getting back to you. They're going to know your business best. But if it needs to be directed to me, I'm in there too. I have all visibility. I'm going to see it. And you can reach out to me in there too. I'll be in there with you guys. One-on-one business review. I'm going to do that with you guys. So you already saw it, but we're going to go through your Salesforce. We're going to go through your sales team process, marketing team process, customer service team process, internal team process, and workflows. So we can understand your business and actually tailor the solutions that are due for you. Like we want to make sure this is good for your business. Okay. I have a dedicated project management board. So if you don't use one already, sometimes people don't, but it's like Monday.com or a Jira or a Linear or Aha or Asana. I mean, the list goes on of what those things are. If you have one, we'll use the one you got. So you don't even have to set one up. We'll just integrate with it. If you don't have one, we'll set you up a free Monday.com board. And what we're going to do in there is every single task that my team is going to do for you will actually go on that board and then brings you to the next point. real-time updates. So as we actually complete those throughout the day, throughout the week, we'll change the status to say it's done, or it's ongoing, or it's blocked. We're also going to provide Google Docs and Loom walkthroughs of every single thing that we fix for you. So going back to these problems up top, right? Killing deals for your sales team. We're not going to do anything without stakeholders' approval and permission. Getting stuck with a system that you don't know how to use, everything is going to be talked about before we implement anything. Waiting forever for help, not going to happen. You got a 1 hour response time. You have a project management board that we're going to be updating real time, and you can reach out to me whenever you personally need to, unlimited messaging. So it's just not going to happen. So this project management board will really give you the transparency though too. It's nice to just see like where your service team is at. Like when I work with teams too, like marketing teams or whatever, I like to know like, hey, we talked about this last week. Where are we at with that? Like, are you working on it? Do you have comments on it? Can I give you feedback on it? How do we work as async as possible? Because I don't always want to get on a call either. So this allows us to do that by having the private Slack channel as well as this board to add comments on there, Google Docs, and Loom walkthroughs for you to watch when it's convenient for you. Real-time updates, great. Google walkthroughs, every single task that we do will have that. Lastly, quarterly business reviews. You get these free. This is going to be a one-on-one with me. I meet with you, just me and you alone. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about progress made towards the end goals that you have. We're going to go through any feedback for improvement that you have. And we're going to strategize for the next quarter to make sure we're on target to be able to save you more time, save you more money, make you more money, and scale the business to where it needs to get to by the end of that quarter. So we're going to do this every single quarter. So you get 4 of those a year, every single year when you stay with us. And again, that's with me. So it's a one-on-one. I'll go through your business, get all the information from your project manager, know it inside and out before we meet, have a presentation, and we'll make sure we're on target. So this is a really freaking good deal, in my opinion, to go through this. And yeah, I just had phenomenal results. So if this is interesting to you, feel like this is resonating, go ahead and click the link below. This is going to allow you to book some time with us, make sure we're a good fit for you, you're a good fit for us. And if we are, we'll get started immediately and start implementing these items down here so we can actually save you time, make you more money, and scale your business faster.